Hello and welcome to the Amber Spycast, your one-stop shop for all things His Dark Materials. Your Dark Materialists, your Dark Materialists are myself, Alaric. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very excited that we finally got to this moment. We're going to be talking about the show on HBO here in the States, but BBC there in the UK. And I'm going to throw it to Joanna, who doesn't have to read a recap today. How do you feel about that?
I don't know what to do at all, guys. I have no idea what to do. I feel like empty inside. But super excited to talk about this show. Watching it and having it not be the movie was just dreamy.
Yeah.
And my other co-host is Travis.
That segue was gorgeous. Hey, everybody. It's me. So it's weird coming into the show not having done any reading. Like, I feel like I need to talk about some kind of book or something. I'm reading Thor comics when I'm not doing this. So, the show was awesome. I watched it like 3 times, and I'm super excited. From my perspective, spot on. Everything was spot on. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think I would go. I would agree. I think that it's you could say it's both very true to the source material and also is expanding on it a little bit, because we're getting not a single. Golden Compass was a single character's perspective for the most part, and we're getting to see like in Azrael's lab in the north, which we never got to see. We get to see Egyptians in their own world, in their own life, doing their own things, which we never really got to see. Lyra was always a part of it. She was always in it, in the mix. So we got to see their lives being lived. I like how they're expanding it. And even Azrael, his you get to see a little bit further into Lyra and Azrael's relationship, which is nice because when he's either out of the room that Lyra's in, we don't know what he's doing, but we kind of get to see a little bit more. I like the very subtle, it's not so overt and blatant, but nice little expansions on the material.
Yeah, I was taken from the get-go. Like from the dreamy opening, and they just had, just the right amount of words. It wasn't the 10-minute ruin everything from the movie opening. It was just enough so you had a little bit of context.
Yep.
And then they go into the the very first scene where Azrael is going through the flood to go and drop off baby Lyra. And baby Lyra, oh my gosh, so cute.
Adorable.
Oh my goodness. And you know what was cuter? 2 words, baby Pan.
Baby Pan.
Baby Pan.
What?
Yes.
I paused it. I was just like, I just need to look at your little face for 2 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I wanted to hear Baby Pan voice.
Yes.
That was the only thing that would have made it better was Baby Pan voice.
Absolutely. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Pan was just super cute. But
So
the flood and the little helicopter thing. So that's 2 elements that, from my perspective, I think are new to us. I think they're, from everything that I'm reading from folks on the Twitters and everything, this is an insert from one of the sequels. It's a flashback that's inserted in, I don't know which one.
I think it's Book of Dust, the first book, which is that La Belle Sauvage, the first one?
Yes.
Yeah, Secret Commonwealth is the newest book, which is Lyra post the trilogy that we're reading, and La Belle Sauvage is her as a baby.
Okay.
And so we did get to see a little piece of it. It's almost like an appendices for the series.
So do we know about the flood? We haven't read it. I'm not going to jump.
We haven't read it yet. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, and then also the little helicopter thingy.
We remarked on it right away. We were like, oh, that's just like a regular helicopter.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It looks like a MASH helicopter or something, right?
Right.
Very straightforward. And then, we see in present day, everything has gone, full steampunk, full dirigible, really, really different technology in 12 years? Is that what it said? 12 years later? Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, he just kind of comes in and take the baby. She needs to be protected. She's in danger outside, and what was it? I demand. I'm invoking Scholastic Sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So clearly she's not safe. Like he believes that she's not safe or she's in danger.
Right.
But the master doesn't really want to take her. You know, and why would you?
No, he holds her like, he might as well have been holding her like this, like just, kind of up and out. Like, what is this thing? Like, he looked like he did not want to have that baby at all. And all she did was smile at him. It was the cutest thing ever.
Yeah. Shout out to Clark Peters as the master. I thought that was, I love him and I wasn't sure about him in this role, but perfect.
Yeah.
Love him. Yeah.
He's gone from the greatest cop in Baltimore to now the master. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Great voice.
Oh, yeah.
And we can weigh in on McAvoy, I guess, later, but we get a little. He does have a very frantic energy in this scene. He's not stoic. He's nervous.
He's desperate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which says two things.
Yeah.
That one, that he cares about Lyra, right? Like he's actually invested in Lyra, and two, something's going down.
Right.
So the opening titles, what did you think about the opening titles?
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah. Especially when it starts to sandwich together all
I love that part.
Which is subtle.
Yes.
But wow.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was my favorite part too.
I said to my daughter that it reminded me of what a Doctor Who opening should be if they had the money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the credit, the house, the credit house or whatever, that all they do is opening credits. They made their money on this one.
Absolutely.
Just the right amount of dusty.
Just
the right amount of like Game of Thronesy.
Just
a little bit.
The dust forming the bone was interesting.
Yeah.
Like we're all made of it, or whatever. I like that little touch. It was pretty good. And then we get to see Lord Asriel's his northern Arctic lab, which is pretty extensive. He's out in the elements. He's clearly, this must be his. I was right away. I was like photograms. He's photograms. He's taking them. Where's the emulsion? So it was kind of exciting to see that little moment. And we got to see Thorold already.
We do.
Who's, by the way, already exasperated.
Yes, I was thinking that.
Day
I was
one.
Like, you look just like a housewife, just like, he looked so like ready to be done.
Yeah. Are your hands clean, Thorold? Are your hands clean?
And then he starts rubbing his hands.
I know, he's like,
yeah, they're clean. They're clean. That was good. And then
the Aurora, I think for us, because we knew what was coming, I could see the outlines of Sidagazi in the Aurora. That was neat. That was really a neat touch.
And we get to go into the cooler and see the head too. The frozen head comes out. Stanislaus.
Yeah. So are we going to do spoilers? Are we going to do books? Are we doing book spoilers in here?
I guess as long as it sticks within the episode, I don't see why not.
Okay, because
I guess we're jumping around a little bit.
I mean, my thought is we're in season 3 of our show, and we've just finished The Subtle Knife, so we can kind of talk about up to that. So my thought now, I want to know whose head was that?
Right.
It's got to be just a random Tartar head, right?
I guess. Yeah, because it's something I didn't get reading the book was how distorted, I guess, the view of the face would be. Yeah,
the ice was dirty, right? That was revealed when he pulls it out at the school. They're all like, well, it's a little dirty, but I guess it could be him. But there's really, even the person looking at it wasn't like, that's him.
That was cool.
Right.
And then we get our first image of Lyra as a 12-year-old. Racing, I guess, who was she racing? Roger. Yeah, racing Roger for the first time, and both their demons. Roger's demon was Ratter, I believe.
Yep.
Which is a Tony Macario's.
That is Bobby's. That is
Bobby's. Yes.
Oh, that's
Bobby's was Ratter.
Bobby Costa was Rabbit. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bobby is the one that they combined with Tony.
Yes. Again.
Yeah, again. I think again.
I know.
I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
But I think Tony is it's such a great moment, and you don't have to necessarily know his backstory for it to be tragic.
Right.
But we'll find out.
He does have great taste in sweater vests, though. I'm just saying.
So many great sweater vests.
There's some great sweater vests in this episode.
Yeah.
There really were. Just sticking with costuming for a second, outstanding. Like, I want every guy in this show's wardrobe. The suits on the Masters, the Azraels,
the smart cable knit sweaters,
yes.
the tucked in cable knit sweaters that Azrael's wearing. Those are sharp. Yeah.
And the tie, and like this whole show is my look. This is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening. I'm gonna cosplay next year as one of these guys.
So, what was your initial reaction to Daphne Keene as Lyra?
There was a second after when Pan starts to read the rules to her, starts to tell her the rules, and she does this thing with her face that like brought me in right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just does this little thing with her face, like it's like you're Lyra.
Yeah, she was Lyra for me. And I know exactly what you're talking about, and that was exactly the moment I was like, oh my god, I already knew or thought she'd be perfect, and that's all she had to do, and I was like, sold.
Yep.
Yeah, good voice, good look. She's it was fun to see her running through the college, and everyone's like, Lyra, Lyra, yelling her name, and she wouldn't listen. She's just running through everybody, running ramshod through the college. So she's she's a little grubby. Her clothes are a little grubby. She's we get right to the crypts right away too, which is kind of fun.
Right.
Which I was like, when are they going to steal? Are we going to get to see like spirits already? Like, are we going to see all that? They're going to steal the coins, right? But no, we didn't get to see it. Sadly, we didn't get to see any ghosts.
Yeah. We can just get a little bit of booze as she's running towards the crypts.
She spit that right out.
She did.
It was kind of a funny cut too. It was like a real smash cut where she's like, and they put it right away to another scene. That was great.
I love that scene too, just because when she runs through Jordan College, like, it was everything in my mind's eye that Jordan College would and should be. Like, it just was exactly, not quite Hogwarty, not quite like real Oxfordy. And they just hit it. And they did a really nice job with the librarian. I think I just liked the fact that he sort of had this, you got to see that mentor-teacher relationship and how she often would abuse that relationship. And I liked it. I thought he was dear.
Yeah. Where else have I seen him?
For her? Yeah.
It's clear. Yeah, it's clear.
I'm not sure where I had seen him before.
I know I've seen him other places. To the internets.
I have it open here. But I don't know what his character's name.
Charles.
Dead air.
I know.
I'm not editing this out.
Yeah, let's just leave it. Leave all this dead air. We'll come back to it.
Put crickets in.
But he was lovely, and there was a nice relationship there, and she knew exactly what to do to kind of distract him and to so she could hide behind the door.
Can you read this story to me?
He's like, that one, like it's his favorite story, right? Yeah. Of course he's gonna say it, and he's totally teaching hardcore religion too. There was full out religion up on that board.
Yeah, and it was like a cosmology. There was like Earth and then heaven and hell in their own spheres. I was interested that heaven and hell are in the same sphere.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I like that they do that because it's the way they introduce this idea of the church and the influence it has is so beautifully subtle. Just that on the board, just kind of, the way that they're having this informal kind of teaching session versus some of the heavy-handedness that came with the movie. So it was really refreshing that it seems from the start that they're allowing people to put some of those pieces together on their own instead of feeding it to them. So thank you.
Oh, and Charles is played by Ian Gelder. and I know what I know him from is Game of Thrones. He's Kevin Lannister.
Yes.
And also from Torchwood.
He's
but
got
yeah,
some,
he's apparently
got
also on
some cred.
yeah, he's apparently also on EastEnders a lot.
Okay, there you go. So we get to see. What do you think of seeing the Egyptians' lives and what's going on with the coming of age, and they each give a little bit of silver for him to make, and when his demon settles was a very carefully talking about how demons settle without slapping you in the face with it, building it into the plot and the story. That was a really nice
ritual.
Scene. A ritual, about it. Like a chant and
like
singing,
a coming of age thing. I love that.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
This is one of the scenes that I saw some criticism online. Of course, there's criticism for everything. Yeah. Grumpy people everywhere. That there weren't enough demons visible in this scene. And to that I say, first of all, most of them are birds.
Yep.
For the Egyptians. So if you see some of the wide shots, and I was watching for it, there's birds flapping around all over the place. But the people are like kind of packed into that little space. So how are you going to be able to see all the demons anyway?
Right.
Did you feel that was something that was missing? Did you feel there weren't enough critters wandering around in every scene?
I'd say in the close-up, like in the shots when you kind of saw them all close together, I thought that too. I was like, wow, I don't really see any demons.
Where is everybody? Yeah.
Right. But as soon as they pulled back, you could see. I mean, there were birds flying everywhere, although I didn't see any other demons besides birds. So I was looking, but I didn't quite catch any. Maybe others did.
I figured that there were some in pockets, some running around, like they just aren't visible.
Well, you've established that they exist and everyone has one. I don't know that you have to show everybody's demon every minute of the show.
And it's funny because I'm the one who complained about it in the movie, that that I felt that there weren't enough demons. But in this, it didn't feel like there was an absence. I think because this world was a lot more populated than the movie was. There were a lot more background people.
It's not as polished. I mean, it's very polished, but it is not. It doesn't have a patina of like CG and green screen and blue screen. You really feel like you're on location, and you feel like you're in a real warehouse full of people. It's not, a room in Atlanta with a big green curtain in the background. They're all kind of packed into that space. There's not sort of this weird digital, it feels like we're looking at real people.
Yeah.
And there was something about the movie that felt sort of false.
And there were so many of them. I mean, there were lots of Egyptians there. And what I felt from that was it didn't even feel like that was all of them. That was everyone who could be there now.
Right.
Right.
It was really, it really felt like a lived-in world.
Yeah. Yeah. I had written down in my notes when I was watching, like, they did it right. Like, they did this right. You got to see community. You got to see, tradition. You got to see I loved how they did it here, where the Egyptians were literally just piecemeal together a community. It wasn't a specific, like, ethnicity. It wasn't a specific, it was everyone and anybody was like embraced in this culture. And I really loved that.
So did I. And that raised so many world building questions for me. How, in the book, actually, it raised a slightly larger question, because in the book, there's actually a point where Lyra, talks about in Subtle Knife, where she talks about like the multi-ethnic world that she's in Will's world. Like she sees some people who are Muscovy and some Africans and folks like that, like all on the same street. Where what I was taking from that was that's not how things typically went in her world. And then, in both in the movie and in the books, the Egyptians were pretty much a 1-to-1 analog for, the Romani. So, a distinct ethnicity. And then in This series, though, they are, like you said, like a patchwork of all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that just raises the question for me, what are the Egyptians in this world? Because they had distinct accents.
Mm-hmm.
Are they refugees from different things? Are they connected to that flood that we saw earlier? How did they come to be in this world? Like there's got to be but then they've developed their own traditions and everything else. So because they talk about specifically the Egyptian way. How did this happen? And to me, just the fact that that this inspires so many questions in me made me love this more.
Yeah. It's, I think, economics in a way. Like you can almost see that economics put them to where they are. They're mobile. They're on boats. They don't have roots necessarily on the ground, but their community is their roots. And they sort of find each other. And I don't know that you have to be from anywhere or be a specific kind of person to be Egyptian.
Yeah,
not in the show.
Right,
yeah.
and they state that. Like they actually state that, like when he gives his little like kind of speech. I think it's Benjamin de Ruyter is the one that gives a little speech. It's like we are all outcasts together. Do you know what I mean? And so like and that to me, and they look down on us or they think we're this, but we know that we're this.
Right.
And so I think you're right, Alec. I think it seems like it's more of a almost like a class kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that just raised the question, where would that you've got your standard lower class folks, but then you've got these guys. How do they find their way into the Egyptians? It's just something I would love to see addressed, but I don't need it to be addressed. I just love that the question's there and that they've created the infrastructure for the questions.
Yeah, and we're going to meet so many more Egyptians further upriver in different communities, and they're going to have, there's a structure to their society. It's pretty, that is interesting. So Tony Costa gets to, not Tony. Yeah, Tony Costa gets his bird settles on a hawk, or his demon settles on a hawk, and Billy is seems to be a little bummed out, maybe. That he's going to miss out on time with his brother now. His brother's now a man, so he can't really hang out with him anymore, and he's a little despondent and wanders off by himself. And sadly, he gets gobbled. But the fox,
I know,
so creepy,
super creepy.
Oh,
and his his demon was a squirrel, and couldn't resist. She couldn't resist approaching the fox. I thought that was in just that little moment. I was like, "Ooh, what kind of power does this fox have over demons?" That was interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
So he gets snatched, he gets snatched, and we jump back to Azrael coming to the college. This scene played out a little differently. Lyra's outside of a window for the first part of it. And she's watching much of what goes on as far as the poisoning concerned from the window. And she has to jump in the window to stop him from drinking it, which I thought was kind of fun. And then she doesn't get stuck in a wardrobe, really. She gets stuck in like a window seat.
Yeah.
And she's like looking through the window seat. So interesting little small change there. But I think that was pretty effective. I did like when he knocked over the bottle of Tokay. He's like, the way it shattered and the way that was shot. I really appreciated that.
He had almost a playful air when he did that. Yeah,
he did. It was like, oops,
right.
I guess no one's gonna drink this anymore. Yeah, it was a little bit playful. He does grab her arm though, the same way it happens in the book.
Yeah,
exactly
but he also
the same way.
Did he slam
the dialogue is the same too
in the book?
What's that?
Yeah.
Did he slam her head into the table in the book too?
He was really rough with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he like yanked her, but here he like had her in that hold and like, gosh. No, but the dialogue was the exact same.
Exactly.
Right. And I love that he realizes it's her and he still doesn't let her go. Like he is like a 12-year-old in this like weird headlock arm and she's, and he says, I'll kill you first or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, let me go. And he's like, he's like, I'll break your arm first before I'll like, tell me what you're doing. I really love that they established I don't know when we're going to talk about James McAvoy. I'm trying to keep my fangirling under control.
Now's a fine. I think we're here. Jump in.
Okay, so can I squeeze? I'm gonna squeeze. And I wasn't sure. I really wasn't. I was hoping, and I wasn't sure if he was gonna be able to pull it off. But I'll be honest. I feel like he was able to bring, because he is phenomenal. He is a phenomenal actor. And I felt like he was able to bring the same kind of things, even though he doesn't have the stature of Daniel Craig. He doesn't have that kind of bigger, I feel like he came across as more rough in here, and it worked. And it totally worked. It was almost like Daniel Craig in the movie was literally relying on just the fact that he was kind of physically bigger. But James McAvoy, just stormed through rooms and demanded things. And I thought he was fantastic.
I totally agree.
Yeah, his presentation too. It's he's got so much gravitas in that scene.
He really does.
There's he sold it for me when Ren was trying to tell him about the Tokai, and he told him he needed to, how there are only 36 bottles, 6 dozen of these left. And he turns and says something to him, and there's this feral look in his eye and in his teeth. And then Stelmaria starts to growl at Ren and scares him off. But it's McAvoy's face that sold it for me that, oh yeah, that's Azrael. Yeah. That's a guy who is on his in his off time is building a giant fortress someplace.
Yeah, he's heading down a path already.
Yeah.
But still the question with funding, why does he need to get funding?
Totally.
he still seems way too powerful to need funding. But unless it's just a cover.
Line where he says, who's against me?
I love that.
Because he just assumed the room is with him. So he's calling out, who's against me?
Yes. That was hardcore. I love that. That was so great. That was so great. And it almost felt like he was not necessarily, he was asking for funding, but he's deliberately saying things like, yeah, I told you I was going here, but I was doing this thing, and now I'm going to keep doing this thing. It was almost like he had that meeting and was saying it. It was just a way of control. I mean, it was just the control he had over that room. I can't even fathom. So he wasn't really asking for funding. He was telling them, I need more. You're going to give it to me.
Withdrawal.
Yeah. I just need you to can I have it? And I got to go.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
When he shows the photogram of the city in the sky, there's a great shot of Lyra's eye and just widening, and you can see it just through that slit that she's peeking through, and you see the photogram and it cuts back to her. And also McAvoy looks to her a few times. And there's a lot of interplay between who he knows she's seeing, what she's seeing, all while the scene is just barreling along. There's some really nice cinematography in that scene in a very dark room. Very nice cinematography. And I like the photogram stuff was great. I like the way that looked. I liked the instrument that he had that was kind of the prop was very cool that he was using. I appreciated that quite a bit. One thing, Travis and I were talking earlier about how we really appreciated the kinder side of Azrael that we're seeing, the side that does care about Lyra, which is what struck both of us seemed to be exactly the same way, is when he carries her to bed, which I thought was sweet in a way. Even as hard as he is on her, there's still he does care about her. There's something going on. And then I especially liked when he put her into the bed backwards and moves the pillow to the other side, and then she wakes up. He's like, oh, of course you woke up now. After he's carried her all the way up the steps, etc., he covers her with the blanket. I really liked that little interplay there. And her room, we get to see a little bit of her world where she's made the Arctic out of the peeling paint on her wall.
I love that.
So great.
That
North,
was so cool.
Her attachment to it is palpable.
Yeah. And I think it's just about that scene. I think what makes it so believable that he cares about her is that moments earlier, he totally forgot she was in the room. I know that sounds weird, but totally. he was so into his thing, and then still Maria's like the girl, and he's like, what? Oh yeah,
right.
But it doesn't mean he didn't care about her. He, he's so passionate about what he's doing, and he got wrapped up in it. And she's kind of, that tenacious child that's like infuriating, but he loves her.
Oh yeah.
And that was such a sweet thing. I love when she asks to see the head, and his no is like perfect. He's like, no. He's like, what are you saying?
It's like, why does she want to see the head? But of course she does. This is the Lyra we love.
Yeah.
This is why we all love her.
Yep.
What I liked about the way he put her down in the bed was that he then moved the pillow. He didn't that turn her. So what it was a very Osriel moment, right? Like he changed the world to fit what his situation. He didn't change what he was doing. And I just thought that was so neat and so like spot on for the character.
Right. The hunt for Billy, we see a little bit of that, and we see a meeting inside a warehouse where we see a lot of bird demons, by the way, up in the rafters. But we get to see our first images of John Fa and Farder Coram. Nice and early. We see him in the first episode.
Yeah.
I really like James Cosmo as Farder Coram, with just the big bushy beard and the deep voice and the stocky build. But John Fa was I love his accent and his delivery. He's smaller, but in some ways more powerful in a way. There's something about he has this compact power. The actor's Lucien Masmati. I really like that characterization. He doesn't say much in this, but he's clearly in charge. So it'll be fun to see their dynamic as we move further into the story.
Oh yeah, and Farder Coram was, whereas in the movie I felt like he was just so much of a more mild version, that even though he's older, he was, and this one, he has life, he has all these things, but he's just older, and it was a great representation of him. I love the way that he bantered off with John Fa, like even though he's older. You're right. I don't know that man. I don't know how to even explain the command he had, but it was totally.
He has a stillness. He's super still. Yeah. Like it's something like, and people. He's the center of attention in all that big room full of people. It's something about it. I don't know if you picked up on it on multiple viewings, but I'm looking forward to watching it again and really see how he moves around that room. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Egyptians. I'm really liking the Egyptians in this.
Yeah, Farder Coram gives me this whole and it's probably because I've been reading the comics, but like this old Thor look, big, burly, almost Santa Claus type, but just filled with like an old power. I just really neat. You can see him with a Serafina Pekkala 50 years ago.
Yeah, I think what I liked most, and I'll make it short, is just that Farder Coram and John Fa weren't caricatures. Like they were very real feeling. And in other times we've seen these characters, they felt, lots of things felt caricatured, and this did not. This felt like, yeah, heck yeah, you're John Fa. Like,
let's talk about Azrael's departure. This part was maybe one that stood out to me a little bit with there's something weird about it. So Roger, as he's leaving, Lyra's really upset, obviously, because he's not taking her with him. And there's a real sense that he doesn't want to take her because it's dangerous, but also I think maybe he knows what he's got to do and he doesn't want her to be there. But she runs off, and then Roger yells, you don't know her, she's special, which is kind of strange for him to yell that to Azrael, a little boy, a kitchen boy. But then he yells back, equally strangely, we're all special. Is that
Everybody's
what he says?
special.
Everyone's special.
All I thought was syndrome. And
Right.
if everyone's special, nobody's.
I love that. Yes, it was like this is the conversation in the car with Dash and his mom.
Yep.
When everybody's special, no one's special.
Yep.
I don't know. It hit me a little tin-eared. Like I was like shaking my ear, like, that's, I don't know. I didn't buy that part.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were shouting out, this is Azrael's theme. Everyone's special. We don't have to worry about gods and all that other stuff. It's just everyone is.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I'm not sure if that was just some dramatic moment that they played out, but it struck me a little bit.
Off.
I will say this though about Roger, and this is just kind of an overarching little comment. I really like his character and the development of his character so far. Like in the book, when I read it, he's a little he's and in the movie too. That like he's fawning over Lyra, and in here he's not. Like she still obviously has. I mean, he's her servant. He brings her breakfast in the show, but they're a little bit more equal than it felt in the book and in the movie. Like he's like, whatever, but I'm going to tell you, like, he kind of banters with her and he has more of a presence that I like. Yeah. I liked it because I always felt like that's what she would need. She wouldn't want a pushover. Like, she needs that pushback, and this character gave it to her, and I appreciated that.
Almost like a sibling in a way. Like he's playing more of a sibling role than a friend role, or a close sibling.
Yeah, my Lily, when we were watching, just remarked about how blunt he was with her. There's a part where she's like, how are we going to get to the north? I got to get to the north. And he's like, we're orphans and we're broke. There's no way we're getting to the north.
With a mouthful of sausage.
Exactly.
Okay. Can I move us forward?
Yes, please.
Can we talk about the introduction to the Magisterium?
Yes.
And Lord Boreal?
Lord Boreal. Early Lord Boreal.
Ooh, yes, it was.
Young, handsome, Lord Boreal.
Yes, he was.
If he's 40, he's barely 40.
I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. Yep.
Yeah, I don't like that Lord Boreal looks younger than me. Like, that's weird, right?
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, not just because he's a very handsome man. I like it because I know that in the book he's older and powerful, but I feel like at some point, like Mrs. Coulter, like he's past his point of moving forward. This younger Lord Boreal, it makes sense to me that Mrs. Coulter would now be in a relationship with him, would kind of be dealing with him in a way like he could still be going places. And I like that they took him to a younger spot for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. And his conversation with the high priest or whatever, you can tell that he's on the move. Like he's important. He's been given a task that is incredibly important. He's trusted. He's probably cunning. I mean, he's got a snake demon. Come on,
Right.
You know that he's got something up his sleeve. A snake. But a surprise, it's a snake. But I think fast forwarding into the stuff we just read in The Subtle Knife, with this guy, that stuff is going to be really electric. I think the stuff with him in our world. I think that's going to be really good.
Yeah. And quick note: the guy who played the High Priest is Daphne Keene's dad.
What?
Is it really?
It is.
That's interesting.
Lord Boreal's the actor's name is Ariane Bakare. Great name too.
I will remember that name.
Hang on, let me see how old he is. Travis, stand by. I'll get it in a second. I hope he's less than 44.
Please be less than 44. I know, please be more than 44.
Oh my God! Thank God he was born in 1971.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Woo, he's very little older than me. He's 48.
Well, Hollywood years, so
The other part I love about this scene, very quickly, is the Magisterium again. Instead of being a caricature, It's very subtle. It kind of pulls back into this galactic empire, like
Megachurch.
Senate.
It's Joel Osteen.
But so it doesn't have that look of like, of like this medieval cathedral and they're all walking around. It is so much more clean and crisp and political, and I loved it.
This is not the Catholic Church that's been around for. This is a vibrant, powerful, current church structure that is continuing to thrive and expand, and it is there's no rival to it. It's not like, oh, there's 5 other religions and you can choose whatever you want. This is clearly, they want to remain number one. They're very careful. They have, and part of it is being attractive. You want to attract people.
Yeah.
And I know that in the book, we were always like, well, who is the Magisterium? Why are they a threat? We don't really know anything about them. And what I liked about this was we still don't know very much about them, but they felt threatening. Like what, like, you know what I mean? Like there was a real sense of like, just enough menace, just enough, that it didn't feel hokey. It didn't feel forced. It was like, from what I can see so far, I'm like, ew, that's not you're bad.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't get about some of the online conversations and some of the complaints that I saw and some of the reviews were that the Magisterium was still too amorphous. And, first episode, firstly.
56 minutes into the show, and people are already talking about this mess?
Yes. Like Rolling Stone complained about it. And, again, like you said, first episode, stop whining. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I felt like the menace was there in every conversation where they were mentioned. I mean, the scholars were terrified. I mean, we heard them talk about the heresy and everything. Clearly, this is a totalitarian type church. I mean, I don't know why people were complaining. It was pretty clear to me what was going on.
It's more clear than the book.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be nitpicking this show, it's like the book leaves it so far out there. You get very little one-on-one with what's happening with the Magisterium, just secondhand, and you certainly it also still establishes them as being menacing and people are afraid of them. But now we're getting to like see plans in action. We're getting to see their world, and even as subtle as that was, they're not hitting us over the head with it, but we're certainly seeing that they're a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about the introduction of Mrs. Coulter?
So awesome.
Ruth Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. I had doubts about her. I really did. When, watching some of the trailers, I felt like it looked like she was like chewing scenery. But the way she just held her head and her voice, she was, as soon as I heard her, she was Mrs. Coulter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. And when she did walk in the dining room, I know we said before that the Oxford didn't look like Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that was Hogwarts.
How about that they're in the middle of the blessing when she walks in, and she doesn't partake of the blessing. She never stops walking. They all are seated as she's walking up on the dais. It's like, that's Mrs. Coulter. And it's like, I don't need to stop for this.
Watch like the guys' heads as they all turn and they're looking at her and everything.
Yes.
She's tempting them as she goes through. I mean,
she knew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she knew it because when she's walking through the door and she is just kind of side-eyeing everyone and smiling like, yep. Like she knew, and then she does exactly what Mrs. Coulter would do, which is she gets up there and he's like, "This is Lyra," and she was like, "I have no idea what I'm doing. You're gonna have to help me."
Yeah. Which fork do I use again?
Yep. Yeah, that was it.
It sucks Lyra right in.
It does.
And it's not like Lyra probably doesn't even know which fork to use on it. Let's be honest.
That's right.
But she's still totally sucked in. Maybe I can. She's asking me to say something. And poor Roger trying to get her attention while he's filling her water. Forgotten.
So sad.
Yeah.
I
just saw somebody posted a meme. There's a His Dark Materials meme account on Twitter that had the standard guy turning around looking at the girl, and in this case the guy was Lyra. Mrs. Coulter was walking away and Roger was the upset girlfriend.
Yeah. And right away, and she doesn't even blink. She never even looks at him. He just has to sort of shuffle up. He even tries to sort of, he stands between her and Mrs. Coulter for like, a second, but just long enough to be like, this is a poor kid.
Yeah. Super awkward.
Super awkward. So they're she's very playful with Lyra in this scene. And you were talking about her being like over the top. We're worried about her maybe chewing scenery and being over the top, and we may still get plenty of that. But there's a lightness to these early scenes, and you need it in order for Lyra to be taken with her.
Yeah.
And when she reveals that she needs an assistant, Lyra needs to be excited about this and be pretty thrilled by it. But this a very subtle change, which I kind of liked, is she says, "Can Roger come with us?"
That changed the entire tone of Lyra leaving.
Yes,
it fixed the whole thing for me
in a good way.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
It works in the book, but it works. This is really solid change.
Yeah, because in the book, I mean, they have to get into Lyra's thoughts to explain why she's okay with just leaving Roger. And here we've got an on-screen sort of mystery. I mean, there's no question for us. We know what happened to Roger. Mrs. Coulter knows what happened to Roger. The only one who doesn't know what happened to Roger is Lyra.
Right.
But that mystery is what's going to pull Lyra into that story. And I thought it was really well done.
As soon as she agrees to take him, I was like, well, she's going to snatch him. Like, this all makes sense now in a way,
Yep.
Joanna, do you have something to add?
Oh, I was just thinking that it also makes Lyra more sympathetic, because in the book, or empathetic, in the book, she totally just forgets him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I'm not going to swear, but that's like a crap move. Like, come on, Lyra, like, that's terrible. And this gives her, because the reason she goes then is like, well, she's our best way of finding Roger. And I think she was convincing herself that was why she wanted to go. I'm not sure if she I think she meant it 50%. And I think the other 50% was convincing her that that's why she wanted to go. She was trying to give herself an out.
Yeah. Well, she says, she believes her that the Gobblers exist. She says the Gobblers are probably based in London, because that would make sense if they're moving kids around, and she has connections. Like, I bought it. I'm like, well, yeah. And she's right, because she is the Gobblers. It's like, of course she's right. And she's literally telling her secret.
But the way she took Lyra into her confidence, she pulled her to the side and let's move away so no one can hear us. I mean, she knew exactly how to make Lyra feel important and want her to come along.
She's 12 years old. I mean, you never forget that she's just a kid. Yeah,
but I mean, that's what Mrs. Coulter does. She does that to everyone. She knows exactly how to make everyone feel like they need to do what she wants.
Golden Monkey, what do we think? There was one shot, and I don't want to jump ahead. We're going to have to jump ahead anyway. But in the Zeppelin, when Lyra finally gets on the Zeppelin and sits across, and it's just sitting there like still and staring daggers into them, I was like, yee.
That monkey does not get better no matter the media.
No. And I watched a video of some Arctic monkeys like fighting earlier in the week. They were like relaxing, and then they got mad and they all went crazy and attacked each other. And they look a little bit like this monkey. And it's like, oh man, this monkey could snap at any moment. It just wants to bite them. It's so mean. So the alethiometer handoff, very quick.
Yeah.
Just like it is in the book. And I think we spent probably more time talking about that scene on the podcast than the actual part of the book, which I think it was like a page and a half. He's like, here, take this. You should have it and hide it. But he uses the same, Joanne, he uses the part that you liked. What do you say? Keep it in your, what does he say? What is the line?
He said, keep your own counsel.
Keep your own counsel, which you loved.
I did. It was
exact same way.
It was such a trust in her. It was pure trust. Like, I know, like you are going to be your best ally here.
She doesn't want to take it. I mean, like, she really does refuse it. And that was a believable refusal too. Lyra's like, No, I don't, come on. She's like, the design of it's interesting. It's square.
It is square.
It's a circle in a square.
I mean, it's circle in a square, but circle gets the square.
I like it.
I like it too. I think it's fine. I like the subtle change. It also, I like how it fits into the little sleeve nicely with that, and it just, I don't know, there's something really nice about it.
What's interesting to me about the alethiometer is that they're earlier in the episode. I don't exactly remember when, but he's got a book open with next to the alethiometer, and
he's studying.
The dork that I am, I paused and got close to it and looked at it, and it's a description of all of the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been a pal and kind of pulled the page out and folded it, sent it with Lyra, so she'd have some kind of idea of what these things mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, I don't know. I felt like the master could have done better by Lyra.
And then her first attempt is, "Where's Roger?"
Yes.
Like she talks to it like
she's like, "Hello, computer." Hello, computer.
I felt like it's like a boomer trying to use like the very like, how do I use this thing? And it was just like, hello, and you're like, oh my god.
That was great, actually. I really like that.
It was adorable. It was so cute.
She gives it the real college try. She tries it like 4 times. And then she's pretty much thinks it's useless after that. I'm surprised she didn't just throw it away.
I know. I thought she was going to throw it down.
She leaves without packing, right? She didn't take anything with her. She just bolted. That's all she has it.
Yeah, I think that might be all she actually has.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. It's just hand-me-down, ill-fitting clothes, that she wears.
Yeah.
That are mended over and over and over again. Again, another kind of believable element.
Mm-hmm.
But she almost doesn't make the Zeppelin, but she does get there, but just barely. And that's when we get to see the stare down by the gold monkey. And then we look out the window, and she's on her way out of Oxford. Lyra's Oxford, the first episode, comes to a close.
She sees the Egyptians also setting sail for London.
She looks down on them. Yeah, that little canal. I love that shot. That was just as I pictured it too. What I did want to sort of briefly mention in the little teaser that says like in the weeks ahead on His Dark Materials, there's a sequence where she's walking in Svalbard that I thought looked awesome, and I was like, squeeze.
Is that the bit with the bones over the steps?
Yes. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
For real.
Yeah. Though I kind of think that this whole episode, I loved it, and it was edited almost identically to our first episode. And I'm thinking that maybe they're listening to us.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to our first episode, this is your first episode. First of all, retroactive spoiler alert. But episode 1-1 is going to be all about this first television episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
It probably won't always be that way, but certainly for this time it did, because I believe it did close with her leaving and heading to London.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was a compact episode, but just like when we recorded, I remember, I think Travis's first line in that podcast was like, "This was big," because we read 3 chapters. Remember, that was the only time we read 3 chapters.
Yes.
And it was a lot of meat. We had to get through a lot of stuff in that first. The world building, they fit all that into this one episode.
They did. I was talking to Jack, and we were reading the book a little bit earlier this evening, and it was 4 whole chapters of the book. Like I showed him, we read the first chapter, but it's chapters 1 through 4.
Oh, wow.
At the end
beyond.
of chapter 4 is when she meets Mrs. Coulter at the dinner.
Okay.
And so it might even have gone a little, it goes kind of a little bit into 5. So it was a lot. It was a lot to put in a first episode for sure.
Yeah.
But it fit.
Yeah, it didn't feel rushed.
Nope, it did not.
Oh.
Yeah, I felt like everything was paced in a way, and I feel like I'm so excited for the next episode. I cannot even wait.
Yeah.
I had one quick thought to add, which is just sort of an overarching thing, is lots of demon talking in this.
Oh yeah.
Demon chit-chatting and talking, and Stelmaria talks more in this episode than she talks in the entire book series. Just up on that, just in the Arctic, just in the north. But Pan is real talkative. Of course, he is really talkative. But lots of little voices and lots of speaking, and the Costa boys hawk talks, and you get to hear a lot of words from the demons. I thought they were pretty successfully done too, and they didn't do a lot of the transformations. The movie played up the live transformations a lot with Pan. This very subtle, a couple times, to a bird, to another thing, but not like constantly shifting. Yeah. We did get to see him as the moth, like
yes.
which is great in the dust, which was really cute. But I think it's fine. I think it's good.
Yeah, I like the swirly effect when he changes.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
Right.
They even talk about demon death and human death in this first episode. They got that in there too.
Yeah. Why did demons disappear when they
and we turned to bones? Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was perfectly natural.
It's conversational.
And that's what I love. It was not forced. It was not spoon-fed. It was just this wonderfully natural exposition that felt like I'm just watching this story, and it was great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It wasn't an info dump in the sense that like someone says, what happens to demons when they die, and then someone says they turn to, and then it was just they were in the crypt. Of course, it's a natural thing to ask. Why did we end up like this, and why do the demons get to die in the way they do, which I think is preferential. Maybe he likes it better.
Yeah.
Solid stuff. Good stuff. Good start.
Can't wait for next week.
And our 30-minute episode has just hit its 60th minute.
Oh no.
We are yappy.
We need to get better at this. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. We're very excited. I can't believe we're actually here talking about this show. Finally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When we started doing this and we said that we were going to, we're going to read the books and then we're going to get to the show, I figured we were going to do it, but we're doing it. This is pretty fun.
Fully committed.
Yeah.
Yep. All in.
Exciting.
Well, have a pleasant evening. Please email us at feedback@theamberspycast.com. We would love to talk about this show with you guys. Or follow us on Twitter, or like us on Instagram, or check us out on our page on Facebook.
We've had a bunch of people, on Twitter engaging with us the past few days, and it's been pretty fun. A lot of them are, our fellow podcasters,
which we love.
Which we absolutely love. These folks are fun, and it's nice to be part of the His Dark Materials podcasting community now.
The family of podcasters. We really would like. If we all listen to each other's podcasts, but if they're listening to this one, I think it'd be fun to get a podcasting roundtable going. I think Travis had mentioned trying to get a group effort where we get to chit chat and talk about the things we like, and meet each other.
Yeah. Our own little roping.
That's what we'll call it.
The roping. That'll be a special episode. I like it. Halfway through, we'll do it.
I love it.
Yes.
All right, kiddies. Thanks for listening.
It's been fun.
Have a good one.
Good night.